Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2018. It's time to check in with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, one of my favorite games of last year. Xavier's going to tell us all about the upcoming Donkey Kong DLC that's coming very soon, this month.
Exactly, just in a few days.
Yeah.
So it's the last stretch for us in production.
Yeah.
And very happy to talk about that today.
So what do we need to know?
So it's a completely new adventure.
Cool.
So we didn't want to just add a few maps or challenges. We wanted to go back to what made the surprise last year for Mario, but this time with Donkey Kong. So we're working with a new team, Nintendo as well, the Donkey Kong team, and together we wanted to make things differently. So in terms of combat, exploration, things you see right now in the game. So it was a really interesting adventure just to do it on our side, to think on how it could be different from the main game.
So you need the main game to play this. Right?
Yeah, you need to finish the first world.
Yeah.
When Rabbid Kong is defeated,
Okay.
Rabbid Peach pushes him,
Here?
and we see him here.
Yeah.
So as soon as you finish the first world, you can play the DLC itself.
Okay. And you access it, is it from the main menu? Do you have to be in the game?
Yeah, so
How
in
do
the
you
main menu, you'll see Donkey Kong Adventure. You go in and you have new save files, and then you start the adventure.
Is Donkey Kong like the main character you play as?
Yeah, so before we had Beepo, I don't know if you remember, but it was the first character in front.
Right.
Now Rabbid Cranky is over Beepo using his motorcycle
Yeah.
because he's too old. But Donkey Kong is the main character as well, and he's really different from the other ones. He's all about close combat.
Close combat?
Yeah,
Like
so
melee.
let's say in Mario plus Rabbid,
Yeah.
we had some weapons like the hammer,
Yeah.
AoE weapons, but we didn't go that far when it comes to close combat. It was more range. Donkey Kong is really pushing it, so grabbing stuff, doing damage around him. He has a lot of HP as well. So it's a bit different in terms of approach, and that's what we wanted to test. Like, what about having this type of this archetype in such a game?
So are we seeing like the opening moments of the DLC here in the first battle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one of the first fights just after the tutorials, and we start to see some elements really specific to the DLC. So the blue pads, for example, those are for Donkey Kong to use. He's going to use a Dandelion, go from point A to point B. So Donkey Kong can actually, in most of the maps, go from the beginning to the end in one turn.
Interesting.
And he can also grab the edge, so he doesn't have to team jump. He can just go up. He's too big and fat. So yeah, just a few examples of what he can do.
I don't think he's fat. I think he's very burly, very muscular.
He's muscular.
Yeah. What about all the other characters from the main game? Are they all available to you here?
No, so again, Mario Universe and Donkey Kong Universe are separated.
Okay.
That was key for us to
Okay.
to begin with. But then Rabbid Peach is the link between the main game and this one.
Okay.
She's back, but aside of this, we have Donkey Kong and Rabbid Cranky. And instead of having a crew of multiple characters, we decided to focus the attention of those three.
Okay.
So all the maps are done for those characters.
Okay, that's interesting. And so what are some of Donkey Kong's abilities?
So he can, for example, grab enemies. He can grab and throw them. He can grab heroes. He can grab covers. He can grab explosive covers. He can also grab even weapons like deployable. He can grab as well ears in the ground for enemies about to appear.
Nice.
Which is something that we discussed with the fans and players, that they wanted to do something with those ears. But he can also use Dandelions like we saw. He can use his banana rank to hit multiple enemies. And he can also use his bongos to attract enemies and then maybe a ground pound.
Very cool.
So multiple stuff.
Nice. And what about Rabbid Cranky?
So Rabbid Cranky is a mix between Rabbid and Cranky Kong, obviously. So he's acting like an old man, and we can see it here on Beepo. But he's not an old man. He's really super strong in combat. So when he team jumps, for example, he's going to shoot mid-air, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, for example, Donkey Kong, he's going to grab Cranky Kong, then send it in the air. He's going to hit mid-air because it's considered as a team jump. And then he can move even after being grabbed, so he can move twice in a round. But he can also use his cane to do a kind of attack that is really different from the shotguns that we had in the main game.
Yeah.
And he can also dash and do vampire effects. And he can also tell a long story that brings the enemy back to sleep, which is super useful.
That's really funny. I didn't notice until just a moment ago that he was actually riding on Beepo, using him as sort of a unicycle.
It's at the beginning of the game, and he's like, I don't know what you're used to, and I don't want to follow you, so I'm going to go over you.
That's pretty funny. So is there an explanation for how Donkey Kong has found himself here?
So in terms of story, to make it quick, because there's a lot of things behind, even though it's a Mario plus Rabbids type of game, it's always on humor. Still, on that part, it's quite funny to see all the details. But basically, at the end of World 1, Rabbid Kong is falling from the tower. And he's super angry at Rabbid Peach. So he didn't die falling, came back to the hub swimming.
Right.
And he starts to hit random stuff, like the washing time machine. And it creates this huge mega bug. And it teleports him into this new mysterious island with Beepo and Rabbid Peach, for some reason. And Donkey Kong and Rabbid Cranky are already on that island for some reason as well. And they don't know, nobody knows why they're there. They don't know each other, so it's all about, this relationship that starts at the beginning of the DLC.
Interesting. And it looks like now we're collecting bananas instead of coins.
Yep.
Flip side for that.
So we have bananas. We have also banana pipes instead of rabbit pipes.
Right.
So we adapted, of course, the world of Donkey Kong to what we did in the main game. But we also have puzzle pieces from the Donkey Kong 64 games, for example, or even the Donkey Kong Country games that you can collect. So it's a new economy system, and then you can unlock many rewards at the end of the DLC.
Interesting. Now, in the main game, outside of battles, there's just lots of little things to do in between battles while you're exploring the environment. Have you included that here? I guess we're seeing a little bit of that here.
Exactly. So we can see here, but we listened to what the fans said. Sometimes they were a bit deceived by what the puzzle could bring in terms of rewards and the way you had to do it. So we decided to integrate it even more to the environment. But also it's not on the main path.
Yeah.
So you can go right into the story and the battles and explore and see, but not do any puzzles. But if you do the puzzles, it's going to bring you some new rewards. So we changed the structure compared to the main game.
Interesting. In the main game, you find better weapons, and you can also spin coins to upgrade them.
Yep.
Is all of that in here as well?
Yeah. So we have more than 61 weapons now, new weapons, and basically the same system. So you buy the blueprints, and then you can equip them, and they all come with different super attacks, super effects. And also it depends on the character. So banana rank for Donkey Kong, 3 targets at the same time, and he goes around the covers. But he can also upgrade his own hands, so he can do ground pounds with super effects. And then we have Rabbid Cranky. He has a barrel that goes over the covers, so it's quite strategic. And then it explodes. It's AoE, so it's dangerous as well. He also uses his cane. It's a cone. It's really dangerous. If you use the react mode, you can shoot heroes. It's a bit difficult. And then we have Rabbid Peach with new deployables and new light guns.
What about new enemies?
So we have many new enemies.
Yeah.
Because basically what we decided to do is to work first on the objectives.
Yeah.
So now we have, each fight is very different from each other. So for example, well, we see it on the screen here. That's a new type of objective. You have to defeat destroy the bananas you see here. So if you only hit the enemies and defeat the enemies, they will come back with new waves of enemies. So it's going to be very, very hard. So it's up to you to decide what to do in those kind of objectives. So we decided to add enemies based on those objectives. So we have, for example, summoners. Every 2 rounds, they summon new enemies. So it starts to ramp up in terms of difficulties. We have smugglers. Those guys want to reach. It's an inverted reach. So they want to reach zones, and if they reach that zone, you lose. So you have to keep them next to you, or else you're going to lose. So we added a lot of new enemies linked to those objectives.
And there were also even sort of like, what effectively acted as boss fights in the main game. Has that been included here as well?
Yeah, so we have 2 mid-boss fights, and we have multiple big boss at the end. I'm not going to reveal too much. But those mid-bosses are quite different. They're brothers, and they act very differently. One of them, every time you shoot him, he's going to fly and flee. So it's hard to catch him up. So it's a cat and mouse type of gameplay. So yeah, mid-bosses and bosses.
It must be breaking Donkey Kong's heart to be destroying these bananas.
Well, they're bad bananas.
They're bad bananas?
Yeah, because of the Rabbids.
Corrupted somehow?
Exactly.
Okay.
So because of the mega bug we had in main game, it corrupted, and we see it with the bluish type of effects. It corrupted those bananas. So every time Rabbid Kong is eating them, he's becoming stronger and stronger, and he's coming back with this army of enemies. So Donkey Kong loves banana, super frustrated because of that, and also he wants to be the king of Kongs.
Yeah. I think we saw one of the remote deployables a little bit ago. I'm not sure what you call them, but like remote control devices that can explode. Are they the same ones for the main game, or have you included new ones here?
Yeah, so we added a new deployables, so the same base for Rabbid Peach, for example, but then we created new ones with new effects, new damages, new percentages, adapted to Donkey Kong and what she's doing with the other characters. And also now, Donkey Kong can even grab those, if you upgrade your skill tree, you can even grab a deployable and send it as a grenade, so it becomes a new weapon.
Donkey Kong seems very useful.
Yeah.
I know they're different worlds, but I wish I could pair him up with Mario and Luigi together.
That would be awesome. That would be great. Yeah.
It's pretty good. There are challenges in the main game. That's some of the hardest parts of the game.
Yeah.
Those get really, really tough. Are there any new ones here?
So we changed the structure. Now in the DLC, we have two endings. The first ending is you do the story mode. No challenges, just the story mode. When it's over, you unlock a new zone with all the challenges. And then we also created new ultimate challenges, of course.
Yeah.
And then when you finish all the challenges, you get the second ending, the real ending. So we changed the structure of the chapters. If you remember, we had some chapters with multiple fights.
Right.
And you had to deal with your health depending on
it's tough.
if you have, and it was tough. We decided to go for one chapter equals one fight. So you get your health back after each. But then we know exactly how we can challenge you for each of those fights. So we changed a bit just to test. So we're pretty happy with this change and see how people react.
And what were we seeing? We were seeing was it a puzzle, an environmental puzzle where they're trying to lead the water around there?
So in production, we call them epic puzzles.
Okay.
They're huge puzzles. It takes maybe 25 minutes to solve them. And it's up to what you see, what you observe. And you can see here, you need to manage the water with the water system. Then it creates life with plants. And then those plants can be useful to remove, to open the door. But then you need to bring down the bridge we see on the left here. So it's a huge puzzle where you really have to observe. So we decided to go deeper into the challenge of the puzzle itself.
I see. Is there any multiplayer component? Or is it all single player?
So it's all single player.
Okay.
Yeah. So we released last November the PvP mode.
Right.
We wanted to see turn-based plus multiplayer.
Yeah.
We had no clue if people would like it.
But they did.
Yeah, they did. And we had a lot of fun to see some tournaments internally in the studios. So maybe in the future we want to go further with that.
Yeah, sure.
But for DK, we decided to focus the attention on the adventure.
Cool. Well, it looks awesome. I'm really happy we're getting more Mario plus Rabbids because this game was really just a delightful surprise.
Thank you.
Really nice.
Awesome.
And it's out this month, the 26th?
Yep, exactly.
June 26th?
And on 25th if you have the Seasons Pass.
Very cool. All right. Thank you so much for coming by the IGN show.
Great. Thank you.